All right. All right, awesome, Joe. So now that we know a little bit more about you and your background, I wanted to move into your values and how they kind of guide your core political stance and your
Sure.
political opinions. So let's kick it off with just that, right? Like, what are your core beliefs, and again, how do they play a factor into your political stance?
Sure. So there's four values that I'm going to be talking about throughout this campaign. I'm going to try to spend about 90 seconds on each of these because otherwise I could go for a long time. The first is free choice with care. I'll just describe a little bit of what that means to me. I think that everybody should be given the ability to make the best decision for themselves. I don't think those decisions should be made without consideration for other people. I find that sometimes the idea of freedom gets misconstrued as an unwillingness to follow rules. And there are lots of people who think about freedom that way, but I know many more who are comfortable with the idea that they can't do literally anything they want. And for those people, I want them to feel as though they have the agency, the autonomy, the freedom of self, freedom of self determination. And I just want them to be aware of other people and to consider the impact of their decisions on those people. Free choice with care for me is an affirmation that we should be given the ability to make those decisions for ourselves as long as we are not intentionally causing harm to others. I think these systems of rules are really designed to help us make sure that we don't cause harm to others, even if those rules don't always perfectly reflect that. That's free choice with care for me.
Yeah.
The next is growing by supporting. And for this, I'll use a little catchphrase. When we lift from the bottom, we all rise. I think that there is a lot of opportunity out there for all of us, but I don't think that opportunity is going to be fully realized if we don't make sure that, the people who really need help get it. Cowlitz County specifically has a reputation based on the statistics about our area that it's not a very great place to live. And I feel a deep dissatisfaction with that. But if we look at it, it has a lot to do with things like income, housing inequality, homelessness, drug addiction. And I think if we aren't placing our focus on those areas first, any growth or expansion outside of that is going to be vapid. I've seen other communities grow and do so without making sure they had the infrastructure first to really support that growth when we got there. And I think that drives the kind of imbalances that we see now. So, growing by supporting for me is a decided focus on the people who need our support as a strategy for ensuring that when we grow, we do so well. The third is community-led solutions. I think it's a hard argument for me that a state or federal agency is going to think as hard and know as much and come up with as effective solutions as people within our community will. The state of Washington does not have its sights set on how to improve the lives of people in Cowlitz County as much as they do how to improve the lives of everyone across Washington state. And so for Cowlitz County, I think the people within Cowlitz County should be given that agency to impact our community. I believe that the role of government should probably be to do our best to support those efforts. And I don't think this is a scenario where we need to hand things over to the nonprofits and churches and kind of wipe our hands of it and say that's really your problem. I think it has to be a partnership. As a politician, I believe that the community is both responsible and probably the most capable of addressing the problems and of coming up with solutions. I really do think that that's the best way to go about it. In the interest of making sure that everybody within our community is protected and cared for, We need people who are here and who are doing that work and who are doing it for us specifically. The last, which this kind of leads into, is an outcome-focused government. What I mean when I say outcome-focused, I mean that we should be principally concerned with getting things done that benefit the community. I see a lot of infighting and ideological disagreement about the best way to get something done. But the thing is, I don't see a lot of disagreement about what should be done. There are some loud voices that say we shouldn't be caring for people and, we shouldn't be benefiting folks. And I think those folks are usually, their view is a little bit more narrow than I'd like. I see most of us really understanding the need to care for each other. And I think the role of government in that is to try to figure out how to get that done. I don't think that it's always money. I think people come to the government often looking for money because they see that money as the enabler. And I think it's a great tool, but I don't know that it's always the most appropriate way to get what we want. And so for me as a politician, my goal is to hear what people are trying to do, what they want to use money for, and if money is not always the best solution, to try to drive a different one. I want to try to find ways to say yes as often as I can within the constraints of the system and accounting for all the people that are affected by those decisions. That's what I mean by outcome focused. The point is that we get what we want. It's not to make sure that we are all in agreement on the ideological framework we use to do it. It's to get what we want. And that to me is really, really important as a politician.